K98talk.com, a leader in internet radio. So grab your seatbelts and take the ride of your life on K98talk.com.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. You and I have a rendezvous with destiny.
You know what time it is, so sit back and get ready for the Stafford Voice, your dose of conservative in a world of liberal.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, good evening and good morning, depending on where you are listening. I am your host, Daniel Stafford, and yes, you are listening and tuned in to the Stafford Voice, where, yes, we are conservative in a world of liberal. Tonight, I'm going to get a little personal, kind of give you an outline of me going forward, and, yes, we've got some Campaign Roundup. We're going to maybe, if we can fit it in, talk about Jeb Bush, who thinks that we can track illegals as if they were FedEx packages. Yes, somebody out there is completely stuck on stupid, and we'll fit in a little bit of time for a little on this day in history. But before we get into that, I want to remind you that there are so many different ways to listen. You could be listening on Spreaker, on Stitcher. You could even be listening right now on YouTube, for all we know. Wherever you're at, set this channel as a favorite. Whatever you have to do so you don't get left behind. And if for some strange, crazy reason you do miss the show, go ahead and feel free, catch the replay. Just sit tight. There is no need to panic because, yes, I've got you. We'll put the podcast up later once we're done and we button some things up for tonight. And in the case you aren't already following on social media, look me up over on the Twitters at Stafford Voice. And if you're already logged in with the Twitters, go ahead and hop over to Periscope if you haven't downloaded it on your smart device. Download Periscope. Sign in with your Twitters and look me up because we're going to be doing a little more. I'm hoping to do a little more activity over on the Periscopes. Also, you can find me over on Facebook. I like to chat. I like to talk to people. I like to get a feel for what's happening, what's really impacting you, what's impacting your family. So, catch me over on Facebook. Always putting up, I'm trying to put up stories, as a matter of fact. And I'll get into that a little bit more. Also, follow everybody else that is with the Polititainment group. Follow my good friends, Artist Angie, Pointless Poll, or as you may have heard, I don't know what he's going by now, Zoltan, Zoltron, whatever, I don't know, he's out of the world. Also, make sure you are following the According to Me show and my good friend Bunny with the Chainsaw at PolitiBunny. Follow them all on Twitters. They all have Facebooks as well. Also, make sure you hit up the station wherever you're listening. You could be listening on K98 or one of our great affiliates. Just give some love to the station. Let them know you either enjoy the show, hate it, or whatever. They may just kick us off because we're not the funniest show out there. As a matter of fact, I don't give a crap if I'm the funniest. I don't care if I make you laugh or if I make you cry. I want you to walk away having felt like you learned something or at least gave a little more sincere thought into something and how it's honestly affecting you and what's really going on out there in the world. So, let's go ahead and jump into what has happened to me over the past week. Let me just tell you, life since I signed off last week's show completely changed for me. I had somebody else that was dramatically affected by what happened. And things didn't really kick in until Tuesday midday. Tuesday midday, I got a phone call from my wife. And she was obviously shaken up. I could tell she was in tears. And I dropped whatever I was doing because the sound in her voice was that of panic, of uncertainty, fear. And when she told me what was happening, those same feelings came over me. I was reminded about something that happened roughly 20 years ago. So on Tuesday, before I got the phone call, my wife went to that yearly women's checkup, the OBGYN, and they poke and prod only stuff that should happen in your own home, but it happens in a doctor's office. I got to be a little lighthearted here, because this stuff, if you're a listener and you know me, you know that there are two causes that I will go down fighting. And one of which is our military, and the other one is coming up here in a month or two. Well, and if you're a long-time listener, you also know that roughly 20 years ago, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. She fought for 9 years, battled. I mean, a true warrior. Didn't miss a day of work when she was going through chemo or radiation. When she was in the last few weeks of her life, she was laying there with a laptop on her lap in bed rest because she had absolutely no energy. She had little Ziploc bags hanging off of her, colostomy bags, ileostomy bags, tubes hooked up to her, and what was she doing? She was working. It's been almost 11 years since she passed away. And Tuesday, I realized that my biggest fear in life was that I was going to get a phone call from my wife, like I got on Tuesday, that said I was at the doctor. She was doing an exam, and they found a lump. My heart immediately sank, and quite honestly, I did not know what to say at all. As a matter of fact, I don't even remember what I said to her. But I remember that sinking feeling of helplessness. Like, I wanted to take everything she was feeling, and I wanted it for myself. I didn't want her to go through that. I didn't want her to feel that. Because she's been there. I mean, she's been there with me since day one. I mean, we've been married 19 years, 18 years, 18 years. 18 and a half years we've been married. We've been together since 9th grade. We met at the 9th grade Valentine's Day dance. She thought that I was an elementary kid that snuck in. And I think she felt sorry for me, so she said, "Yes, I'll dance with you." My heart went pitter-patter, and it goes pitter-patter every day since that day. we've been through a lot. When we were juniors in high school, we got pregnant with our son. We chose to accept the challenge. We brought that life into this world. I'm so fortunate that I did. I never, the thought of abortion or adoption never even crossed my mind. Never, not once. And then we find out that my mom had breast cancer. We went through that together, joined the military. I decided that I was going to do one of the shortest life expectancies jobs in the Army, which was a combat engineer. Your combat life expectancy on a battlefield is roughly 45 seconds. You're out there playing with 40, 50 to hundreds of pounds of explosives all at once. Just a matter of a few degrees, of a degree or two, can set off a landmine, and it's over. Your wife or your husband is going to get that letter that says, we thank you for allowing your spouse to serve this country. But anyway, to sum all of that up, we've been through a lot. And that phone call that I got, Tuesday was a realization of that fear that I never imagined would ever happen. But it did. And so I came home with a different idea. And I gave her a hug. Just like I normally do, but it felt different. Because I was imagining that worst case scenario, these could be the last numbered hugs that we would ever get to have. And again, that goes with the fear of the known and the fear of the unknown, where, fear of the known is, I completely understand the toughest option out there. The toughest road ahead, I completely understood. But the fear of the unknown was what? And that is, we didn't know. We didn't know what it was. So luckily, the hospital that she goes to, they have a fantastic women's center. And as a matter of fact, over the last 5 or so years, they have done a multi-million-dollar addition and actually created a top-notch women's center. The technology that they're doing and that they're studying with is leaps and bounds ahead of where things were when my mother went through cancer. I'm fortunate enough that my mother participated in a bunch of different studies and different experiments. And I'm fortunate for her because the things that the doctors were doing with her have actually accelerated where these programs and studies and the course of action that these doctors take today. A round of applause goes out to the staff that was taking care of my wife, because they found a lump on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we went to the imaging center, and we had the ultrasound, and they suggested we get an appointment with a surgeon to review what they found out. And basically what they found out was apparently they rate these lumps that they were looking at, they rate them on a scale of 1 to 6. 1 being, it really looks like nothing, but because of precautionary measures and the world of unknowns, we want you to go talk to somebody about it. And 6 is basically the worst. It is, look, this mass, this lump, has cancerous characteristics. And Wednesday I came home from her appointment, and she said, well, they rated hers a 4. Before that, before I even got home, the majority of the work had already been done. Not only, see, here's how fast they jumped on this. On Wednesday, we had the ultrasound. She went in, they got her in a couple of hours later at the general surgeon to talk to her about it. And the general surgeon said, based off of what we saw, we want to take a sample. We want to do a biopsy of this thing, and we want to figure out what it is. Right there in the office, they did the biopsy, and she was home later that day explaining to me everything that was going on, and that we could get results as early as Friday. Now, obviously, Friday came, seconds, minutes, hours were ticking by, as though it was this snail's speed. Every time your cell phone went ding, or you got a new Facebook ding or something, you grabbed it, and it's like, do I look? I don't know if I want to or not, because you never know. It could be a message, could be an email from a doctor saying you've got cancer, or it could just be nothing. Well, Friday came and went, obviously, all weekend long, on the back of our minds. And it was really tough. You know, you sit there and you try and have a positive outlook on things, but it was hard. It really was. Spend a lot of time in prayer, a lot of time pondering on the atonement of Christ and what that really means for me, what that meant for my wife, what that means for you. And Sunday came and went. This morning, I woke up just a few minutes before the alarms went off, super early, and I just had this overwhelming sense of calmness that just was telling me, relax, everything is okay. And fast forward to, sometime midday today. It was roughly noon or 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I got a phone call from my wife with excellent news that it's just a benign tumor. And so later on this week, we go back to the general surgeon and we talk about course of action to go forward. So I'm still really optimistic about the road ahead. And thank you to so many of you out there that I have either personally reached out to, or some really close friends of mine may have reached out to you. Those of you out there that are prayer warriors, from the bottom of my heart and from the bottom of my wife's heart, we humbly and honestly thank you. By the grace of God, it turned out that it is benign. So if you are a new listener and you're in the chat room. Charlie, thanks for tuning in tonight. This is not normally the way I want to start out a show. I really don't. The last thing I want to talk about is something like this. But please, I plead with you, women, if this is the only thing, if you stop listening after I get ready to ask you this, that's fine. If you stop the show and go do this, my job will be done. What I'm asking you women out there is to check yourself. Perform a self-breast exam. If you're not comfortable doing it, go to your doctor. Men, check your wives. Be on them. I'm not talking in that sense, okay? Calm down. I'm not talking about that sense. I'm pleading with you from a guy who has had people very close and very dear who have gone through breast cancer. Because, look, my mom is not the only one around me that has gone through breast cancer. I've got another family friend that has gone through breast cancer. She is in a very deep state of depression because of it. And it has been... It's probably been close to 10 years since that 8 to 10 years since that happened, since she had breast cancer. I'm pleading with you, men, to check your wives. If they're not comfortable with you checking them, well, shame on them. But force them to get checked. Please. Now, you know what? I'm going to take a short little break. I'm going to try and compose myself a little bit. When we come back, I want to talk to you. I've got that silly little thing that we're going to try and do every week where we sum up the campaign talk into the beautiful little sound bites that the mainstream media wants you to hear that you may not have heard. We're going to call it Campaign Roundup. And also I want to talk to you about the idea that Jeb Bush threw out there, and he was kind of grilled on it, about tracking illegals as if they were FedEx packages. I am Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice. Hit me up on Twitters at Stafford Voice. I'd love to hear from you. We'll be right back.
Plan. You'll be able to keep your health care plan. This is the most transparent administration in history. Not even a smidgen of corruption.
Fact is, we had 4 dead Americans. What difference at this point does it make?
If you've got a business, you didn't build that.
The feeling most people get when they hear Barack Obama's speech, I felt this thrill going up my leg. I mean, I don't have that too often.
Steady.
It's time to hear the truth about America's biggest challenges. Ricky Robinson, host of America Off the Rails, will tackle the important issues facing America today as he tries to keep America from coming off the track. Get ready to hear the truth every Monday through Friday starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 Central, and on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern and 11 Central here on K98Talk.com and the Spark Radio Network.
Red Nation Rising brings you Town Hall Radio.
From a single tweet to 3 million a month, our community is a force to be reckoned with on social media.
So don't miss our show, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Our chat room is our co-host, and you ask the question.
Join us and be heard.
So get ready to sound off on Red Nation Rising Radio. No one else is going to do it for you.
There's a wild, wild whisper blowing in the wind, calling
I'm not the type of guy that jumps into anything without first doing my research. And when I was looking for a holster, I'll admit I was having one heck of a time. You know what I'm talking about here. You find one you like, you try it on, it would be clunky. Another one fits good, but costs way too much. So you try on one last holster, it was slim, lightweight, priced right, but lo and behold, you slide your pistol in, and it falls right out. So what do? You've tried all these mass market holsters. Well, go custom. I know what you're thinking. I thought it too. Too pricey. Wrong. My guy over at Rebel Road Tactical will not only put together the perfect fitting, hand-molded, hand-assembled, custom Kydex holster, but you'll get it at an affordable price. Don't wait. Contact Rebel Road Tactical today at 682-217-4579. Again, that's 682-217-4579. Place your order.
It's the dramatic reinvention of talk radio.
Here come the spy dolphins.
The only thing that can cure racism is Robert E. Lee's penis.
Who named this cat Limberbutt McCubbin? A Trump-Biden debate.
Plugs versus rugs. Real serious nonsense. The show's so bad, you'll laugh at us.
The worst podcast. We obviously hold that title.
Mondays, 9 p.m. Eastern on K98 Talk.
Call now.
913-440-4889.
All right, we are back. If you're not joining us in the chat room, please head over to k98talk.com/chat-room and join our friends over there. Again, that's k98talk.com/chat-room. Okay, where were we? Wow, that was kind of tough to get through, but not as bad as having to sit and listen to how many hours of campaign speeches. Wah, 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 wah. Oh, my word. Listen, last thing I want to do is stop what I'm doing and listen to all of the BS crap that these 97 Republican presidential frontrunners are talking about. Seriously, I mean, there's like 134 Republicans running for president. And it really is hard to distinguish who's saying what, because there's a speech over here, there's a speech over there. So what we've done is we've tried to take some of the best, or some of the best of the worst, that some of these campaigns are saying. So we're going to go ahead and get started with this week's Campaign Roundup.
The American dream is dead. But I'm going to make it bigger and better and stronger than ever. These other guys, they go around, they make a speech in front of 21 people. Nobody cares. They can make the same. They read the same speech. They have teleprompters. I say we should outlaw teleprompters for anybody running for president.
It doesn't make any sense anymore that people who are here illegally, that their children would have automatic citizenship. That what that does is it serves as an incentive, encouraging people to break the law and come here illegally. And we ought to change that policy. I get that that's the question you want to ask. That's also the question every mainstream media liberal journalist wants to ask. Open an investigation into Planned Parenthood and to prosecute any and all criminal violation by that organization. These videos are horrifying.
Sit down.
I have the right to ask.
No, you don't. You haven't been called. Go back to Univision.
Government is becoming so enormous that it's gobbling up all the resources. We have the highest taxes in the world now. The law's about the time when we don't have angels ruling us. Madison said that if government were comprised of angels, we wouldn't need the rules. We need the rules because government's often not comprised of angels. But you also need the rules because what the Constitution is about is not binding you. It's about binding and restraining government. It's about the restraint of power. This isn't about, blather from some reality TV star. If you want to defend the Second Amendment, you got to believe in the Fourth Amendment. If the government can come in your house without a warrant, if the government's going to treat us all like we're all potential terrorists and collect all of our records all the time, publish our gun records online and let everybody know who owns and who doesn't own a gun, that's a problem. But that's a violation of the Fourth Amendment. You've got to defend the Fourth Amendment to defend the Second Amendment. You have to be able to protest and speak out for the Second Amendment. You've got to have the First Amendment. We've got to defend the First Amendment because we have to defend religious liberty. And I've told people, you know what? They say, when are you going to fight? I said, look, they're not coming in my church.
There is no war on women. There may be a war on what's inside of women, but there is no war on women in this country. Of all the nations in the world, this one, the United States of America, is the only one big enough and great enough to allow all of those people from all of those backgrounds to remember their dreams. We are all culturally relevant to each other, and that's why we're called the United States of America.
People are the problem, not so much guns. You know, people use knives, people use bats, people use hammers to bludgeon people to death. And I don't hear anybody talking about taking those things away.
Point out repeatedly, since the beginning of this year, this is not new. People have heard me, some of the folks from NBC have covered me, heard me say this 1,000 times. Secure the border, enforce the laws, no amnesty, go forward in a way that provides for a legal immigration system that puts a priority in American working families and their wages in a way that will improve the American economy. I said, whether it's talking about the 14th Amendment or anything else, until we secure the border and enforce the laws, we shouldn't be talking about any other issue out there. And politicians that do are trying to distract from the fact that for years in this town, in Washington, D.C., politicians have made promises about securing the border and enforcing the laws they haven't been able to fulfill. I'm not talking about changing. I'm not talking about
keep it in place.
I'm not talking about
birthright citizenship stays.
I'm not talking about changing the Constitution.
Okay. Some familiar voices from last week's roundup have made it back. There were some good little dig. There was a really good dig there from Rand Paul about not a reality show. Thought that was a good one. Look, it's hard to keep up with. It really is, and you know this is what we do. You know, this isn't your everyday #1 comedy show here. We're talking about real events. We're not here to make you laugh. You know, sometimes we're going to make you cry. Sometimes we may make you laugh. But most of all, we want you to stay informed and educated because Lord knows you are the most, you are the smartest listening audience in all of talk radio. You guys are the greatest. And I'd like to welcome those of you who are new into the chat room or new listeners. Charlie out there, I see that you're a first-time listener. I appreciate it. And if you're in the chat room, also, Pirate Ron touched on a great point about what we were talking about in the first segment. Guys, yes, please check yourself. You've got some baggage that you got to check. Also, you've got to check you've got areas you need to check just as much as the wife needs to check, or your girlfriend, fiance, whatever you're going to call her this time. You can he, she, z, b, whatever. So please check yourselves. But these campaign roundups, again, just want to highlight what the 196 Republican runners are talking about out there. There's like 732, I think, by tomorrow morning. Half of the United States is going to be running for president. I heard that in 2020, some fourth-rate crap artist, Kanye West, is going to run for president. Honestly, nobody gives a crap about what that vile, I'm going to be nice, what that vile human being has to say. He's a ninth-rate crap artist who can't even write his own music. He can't even put together a good beat, and he needs auto-tune anyway. He's not a real musician. And besides, if you're trying to get political on MTV, you know what MTV stands for? You know, when I was a kid and you'd turn on MTV, what did you turn it on for? Music television. You turn on MTV, there's not one music video. Not one. How in the hell can they call it the MTV Music Awards? Seriously. Maybe if there was YouTube Video Awards, YouTube Video Music Awards, that sounds like something you could maybe do. And I think they do. But I think time is over for MTV to worry about doing music video awards. And then you got the MTV Movie Awards. Does MTV even play movies? I don't know. I thought it was just some second-rate reality TV broadcasting studio. You know, you got little girls on there that are being paid to be 16 and pregnant. Well, I lived that. Hell, I didn't make any money from it. So again, you know, you got a 15th-rate crap artist out there that's talking about running for president. Boo-hoo, whatever. But anyway, Jeb Bush. I don't know if you guys caught this. If you didn't, you can go head over to YouTube channel. Just pull up the Stafford Voice YouTube channel. And Jeb Bush is really trying to spin how he originally brought out this point about how we could track illegal immigrants like FedEx packages. We should treat them like FedEx packages. And I kind of get where he was going with this, but obviously he's not an eloquent speaker. I think he had donuts on his mind. But no, was it Jeb Bush? No, it was Christie. Oh, hell, I can't even keep up with him. I really can't even keep up with him. Anyway, so they're talking about tracking them like they were FedEx packages. And yeah, it was Christie. I apologize. It wasn't Jeb Bush. By the way, you got to go out and trim your bushes if you know what I mean. But Krispy Kreme was out there talking about how we should treat these illegal immigrants like they were FedEx packages. Because, you know, FedEx, they have millions and millions of packages. And how you can get on the internet every day at any given moment. You can even grab your cell phone. You can hit a button and know exactly where your package is in the world at any given second of any given day. But yet, the government can't track it. They always throw out this 11 million number, like there's only 11 million illegal immigrants, when it's more like 30, close to 40 million illegal immigrants. I totally get what he was trying to do, but it didn't work. Because the media jumped on him, and rightfully so, because now you're trying to turn a person into an inanimate object. And that's not always going to work. As a matter of fact, I don't even think it can work. We really do have an immigration problem, an illegal immigration problem. And yeah, there are some people out there that will call it an invasion, and you know, it's been one of those running jokes that one of these years Mexico is going to they're going to invade the U.S. and take over without even firing a single shot. Well, I'll say this, not on my watch. And there's plenty of other men and women, young and old, who will not allow it to happen. So you gotta be You've got to stay vigilant about who's saying what out there on the campaign trail. You have to, because one bad decision today will bring so many consequences tomorrow. Speaking of consequences, we're up on a break, and when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about something that happened on this day in history, and we'll throw out our Who Said That. This is Daniel Stafford, host of the Stafford Voice. We'll be right back.
K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we are expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level, or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at sales@k98fm.com.
Not on my watch, our military service members say, as they volunteer to serve, as they move out, stand firm, and take fire. So not on our watch, we say, to the severely ill or injured veterans who can't get the care they deserve to live full and independent lives, even when there's no government funding or a nursing home seems like the only option. We won't leave one warrior behind. Not on our watch. Join us at findwwp.org.
Hey everybody, this is Jason, host of According to Me. I'd like to invite you to check out my show. It's a 2-hour show that lasts 60 minutes and... listen, I hate to interrupt, but one thing I can do is read off a script. Just say, let me be clear a lot. It works. President Obama, I can handle this. It's a radio promo. I'm not green. I've done this before. Did someone say green? Now, Al Gore is here. Listen, I'm just trying to record a radio promo. Do you mind? Now, do you say good things about me on the show? No, not at all. But if it makes you feel any better, I rip on Republicans just as much. The AM radio frequencies give off very high levels of radiation. Look, my show is on the internet, which you invented. Can I just do my promo? I got a pen. I can veto that, you know. I know you got a pen. It's not a law. It's a radio promo. Listen, just listen to my show. Barack Obama and Al Gore hate it, so you're going to love it. Here's an executive order. Don't listen to his show. He doesn't like me. He's racist. And he doesn't recycle either. That's it. I'm done. It's According to Me, Thursdays, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the 405.
Conservative in a world of liberal.
The Stafford Voice.
All right, we're back. And yes, let's talk about something that happened on this day in history, back in 1897. Back in 1897, on this day in history, some guy named Thomas Edison, you may have heard of him, yes? No? Maybe? Okay. So Thomas Edison received his patent for the kinetograph, or the kinetograph. What is a kinetograph? It was his idea of a movie camera. And Thomas Edison had developed this camera, and this coupled to this viewer, for a couple of different reasons. But so they go out there. So he went out there, and the main idea was you were able to snap a bunch of pictures to film, and you could then in turn turn it into a quote-unquote movie. Back in the day, I don't think their movies were as long as what we've got today. But really, really cool that this happened. You know, it's kind of neat to learn a little more about the stuff that, you know, we kind of take for granted. You know, you pull out your cell phone or your tablet or whatever smart device you've got, and there's a camera right there. You go to the movie theater and you're watching Straight Outta Compton, and you're not even realizing what it took for that camera to bring to you what you're watching. So now you know that it goes back to Thomas Edison and his little invention called the kinetograph. And a couple of years later, he wound up having to go to court because somebody, he sued the American Mutoscope and Biograph Pictures, saying that they had infringed on his patent. Well, it says in 1902 that the U.S. Court of Appeals ruled that although Thomas Edison had patented the kinetograph, that he only owned the rights to the sprocket system that actually moved the film along through the camera. That it wasn't the whole entire concept of the movie camera itself. But so there you go. That's kind of neat. It's always fun to learn interesting things. I love to learn. I love to read. I love to dig around and see what happens on this day in history. And, you know, it's almost kind of ironic that we're talking about Thomas Edison's little movie camera patent, the kinetograph, and unfortunately, over the weekend, Wes Craven passed away. Wes Craven, if you're not familiar, he originally got started with the Friday the 13th or Nightmare on Elm Street. Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street series with Freddy Krueger. You know, the guy with the knife fingers or whatever. Absolutely great films back in the day. My wife is in the background shaking her head and saying no, but I will say I liked them. I did. They weren't as scary as maybe snakes or spiders. You know, the funniest thing about spiders, to get off topic real quick, the funniest thing about spiders are one of those things that can take the biggest of the machoist guys out there. Is machoist a word? Have Hillary Clinton have Barack Obama fill out an executive order that machoist is now a word. Spiders come in all different sizes. Little tiny microscopic things, and I've seen some that are like inches around in diameter when you sprawl out their legs. They are more frightening than the scariest movie ever produced. Okay? How many guys and gals out there, and if you're in the chat room or you're out there on the Twitters, let me know if you agree with this, but you don't even have to know martial arts. You're walking out to your car early in the morning. You walk face first into what you think is the world's largest spider web, and you immediately break out the Bruce Lee kicks and punches and karate chops. I mean, you go full Ronda Rousey on that spider web. It lasted maybe 30 seconds. I'm telling you, it happens to me every 2 or 3 days. I gotta go out and get my judo on with a spider web. Go out and kick some Spidey ass. Seriously, oh my goodness. I really don't like spiders. I mean, if I can see them, it's one thing. Because I'm going to have a conversation with Mr. Spider, and I'm going to look over there and I'm going to say, hey, you got your hole, I got my area over here. We're going to leave each other alone. Look, we can talk all you want, but you start coming my way, it is on like Donkey Kong. Not big, fans of spiders. Really, really don't like them. You can go straight ninja on that little spider web. I don't care how big it is. A couple inches around or feet around. Yes. We'll go full Donkey Kong on that spider web. Get my Ronda Rousey on. Alright, you know what? That's right. If you are a new listener out there, that sound you just heard is the start of Who Said That. So what is Who Said That? Who Said That is a little segment that we put together, something that happened that has been said throughout the week, where somebody out there has said something so completely stupid that they leave no question. They are completely stuck on stupid and need to seek medical attention. And this week, again, is one of those individuals who is completely stuck on stupid. Maybe he drank the water, but it's also important to note that it doesn't matter if you're a Republican or if you're a Democrat, a liberal, a conservative. It really doesn't, or if you're a faux conservative, trumpets will call you out. Doesn't matter. You will get called out on Who Said That. And this week, it doesn't matter how famous you are or how famous you think you are. You know what? We're just going to let this guy speak for himself.
Consider yourself to be an advocate? I'm just a reporter asking questions.
The other day he said that he wants to know whether you support Kate's Law. The idea of Kate's Law, let me read about it. It says that it would mandate 5-year federal prison sentences for undocumented aliens who are deported and then returned to the U.S. Would you support Kate's Law?
I think it is unfair that because one undocumented immigrant killed a wonderful human being, that all immigrants are being blamed for that killing. It is so unfair. I'm just a reporter asking questions. So it is unfair to stereotype a community and saying that the Hispanic community or the immigrant community has a higher percentage of crime, and it is completely unfair to criticize millions of people for what one or two people have done. I'm just a reporter asking questions.
He's just a reporter asking questions. Never mind the fact that he's out there trying to raise a stink. And yes, that was none other than Jorge Ramos. Did I say that right? Did I roll my R long enough? Jorge Ramos. The guy's completely stuck on stupid. Look, there is a huge community of illegal immigrants here in the United States. Something has to be done with them. And what can we do? We can pass something like Kate's Law that says if you go out there, well, we've kicked you out once before, and now you come back over here, you kill somebody, mandatory no matter what, you commit a crime no matter what, mandatory minimum 5-year sentence. How can you not agree with that? Look, if you go down to Mexico, they're going to kick you out. No question about it. They're going to say, get out of my country. They don't want you there. Even the government doesn't want you there. Hell, they don't even want their own citizens there. So what do? Yeah, you can come up with something like Kate's Law, but in Jorge Ramos, in his mind, oh, it's completely unfair. It's not fair. It's not right. You can't punish a whole community of undocumented immigrants, aka illegal immigrants. They broke the damn law, dumbass. You can't punish them. Yeah, you can. Look, if you want to live in America, we have laws. Those laws are there to protect people, not to allow you to run amok and kill whoever you want. Oh. Jorge Ramos. Congratulations, buddy. This week, you, again, every week we could highlight something you say. But this week, we highlighted you for our special spotlight of Who Said That. You flippin' moron. And I think you know what? I'm just going to leave it at that. Mama said, if you can't say anything you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Well, Mama, the guy's stupid, okay? Oh. So again, to circle all the way back around, going forward, I want to spend a few minutes, a few of these closing seconds with you, to talk to you about going forward. Because I'm not a very open person. I'm kind of a closed individual. I have a very, very small circle of people that I trust. But I'm telling you, face to face, I'm going to be more open. Look, I'm not the funniest guy out there. I could be in line for one of the worst shows on the station. I may not bring you the greatest of guests week in and week out. My mission is to educate you. My mission is for you to leave at the end of the show, whether you listen to the podcast later on or if you're listening live and you're participating in the chat room. My mission is for you to learn something, to walk away a little more educated. And if I've done that, then I'm going to consider it a job well done. Sometimes, yes, I get a little too serious, but you know what? There are a lot of things at stake here. A lot of things at stake. If I can make something funny and tell you a joke along the way, be a little sarcastic, then I'm going to do it. Because that's who I am. My wife would tell you straight up, I'm an ass. And I'm sarcastic that I wrote the book on sarcasm, but I would totally disagree because if you get out there on the Twitters, some of those people put me to shame. But you know what? I've had a couple of people ask me, why do you do what you do? But I'm going to tell you, I do this for you. I do it for all of you in the chat room. I do it for everybody out there on Facebook, on Twitter. I do it for you. Just like when I put that uniform on when I was in the Army. And like so many other millions of soldiers have done in the past and will continue to do tomorrow. They do it for you. Well, I'm going to promise you, on my end, I've got a lot of work to do. If you want to help along the way, feel free, reach out. I would love your help. I'd love some of your ideas. I really would. I love to interact with people. I may not be the best on Twitter, may not be the best on the Facebooks, but I do want to talk to you. I want to hear from you. I want to know whether what you like about the show, what you hate about it. But you know what? That, unfortunately, is all the time we've got for this week. And God willing, the Stafford Voice, I, your host, Daniel Stafford, will be back next week. Follow me on Twitter over at Stafford Voice. Look me up on the Facebook by searching for the Stafford Voice. Email your questions, comments, concerns, tips, whatever it is, to thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Again, that's thestaffordvoice@gmail.com. Head on over to thestaffordvoice.com. Check out some of the stories we've talked about tonight and stay updated on what we bring to you in the coming days and weeks. Thank you so much for your time, and until next week, thanks and God bless.